Yeah, your content isn't reaching as many people as it used to. That is the case across the board. The solution to that is to build consistency. And the only way to build consistency is to start small. You'll start to learn what type of content, one that you like making, one that people like watching. But if you don't do it over and over again, then you won't learn that. And so welcome to the Artful Dollar podcast, where we are closing the wealth gap one artist at a time. And today we're going to be talking about social media. I want to help you make more money on social media and talk about the specific problems that I hear every single day from hundreds and even now thousands of tattoo artists. Maybe some of you are listening who I have spoken with in Instagram through DM, and I hear your main problems. There's 3 top problems that everyone seems to repeat over and over again. It's either 1, 2, or all 3 of them. And so I want to address those problems today because I want you to make more money. Like, that's as plain as simple. Like, if I'm going to close the wealth gap, at the end of the day, I can help you save and all that stuff, and that's great. But learning to use the most powerful marketing tool on the planet, which today currently is social media, is probably one of the best ways that I can help you out. So I did make a YouTube video recently about sort of this 4 pillars strategy to apply specifically to Instagram. Today is going to be a little bit more theory, a lot of my thought process that has gone into making content. I've been doing content regularly, almost daily now for almost 4 years. And I'm going to talk about some tattoo artists that are currently killing it in the social media game and kind of what I'm observing from them. So there's a lot that I want to cover, but I do want to make this quick and easy and packed full of value for you. So I also just want to say, I don't know why, today, it's Sunday. I woke up extra early. I did snooze a little bit, but 7 a.m. is late for me. And I love making this podcast. I love sharing and creating and even developing my own style of content. Content is an art form, and I am very much one of those morning early creative people. During my full-time 13 years of tattooing, I would wake up early to draw. That was when my most creative hours of the day were. And I thoroughly, wholeheartedly enjoy making content. And it wasn't always that way. And I have to say that if you don't push through that beginning part where it's not super fun to make content because you're not good at it, you don't know what you're doing. If you don't push through that and allow yourself get to that place where it actually is a creative process, you're actually excited to make something, to share something, even if it's a piece of short form content for Instagram that maybe doesn't do well, but you're proud of it. If you don't allow yourself to get to that point, then you will never be successful with social media. I'm just going to put that out there. And now, again, I wasn't super into it in the beginning, but I stuck with it. And over time, I developed a style of work that I like. So just like finding your style in tattooing, just when you start tattooing, it's not super fun in the beginning. It's really stressful. It's overwhelming. You don't know if you're going too deep or too fast or what's going on. And as you learn the skill, you get better at it, and then it becomes fun. Same thing goes for social media. So I want you to shift your perspective into I hate this thing or I'm bad at this thing to I haven't really poured my attention and intention into this skill set enough to feel confident when I'm doing it. Just make that mental shift. That will serve you extremely well as you're learning to use it, because if it's always this burden for you, you'll never find that creative spark that is authentic, that is building that connection with people. And now look, are there days that I don't feel like making content? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, yesterday I woke up, I had a bunch of content planned and I didn't really feel like doing it. And I'll be completely honest, I sat down, I picked out this particular guided meditation on Insight Timer, the app that I use, and it completely shifted my mood, my perspective. I always say this, marketing is 10% strategy, it's 90% mindset, and I could tell I woke up in a weird funk, and I needed to get out of that funk in order to take the action, the strategy, the practical stuff. And so that's why I talk so much about mindset, and probably will a couple more times on this episode. So the three biggest complaints, let's say, or the most common things that I hear from tattoo artists on Instagram after hundreds of conversations over and over again, I've heard these hundreds of times, is one, my content isn't reaching as many people as it used to. So we're going to talk about that. Two, I'm afraid to put my face on social media. And three, I don't know what content to make. So if any of those three or all three of those things are concerns, problems, things that you face, let's solve them today here on this podcast. So first, let's start with number one, my content isn't reaching as many people as it used to. You are 100% right. And that is not personal. That is across the board. Everyone on Instagram is experiencing that. And now the reason for that is Instagram itself as a platform has had so much growth over the past 5 years that there are now so many more content creators. There's so much more content happening than ever that is competing to grab the attention of people on the platform, which ultimately that's all the algorithm is doing, is it's making sure it's dispersing the content that grabs the most attention to the widest audience, because their job is to keep people on the platform. So your content that you're making, that you spend however much time doing, and again, it gets easier, it gets quicker the more you do it, the faster I can pump out a quality piece of content in an hour and a half, whereas it used to take me 5 hours. You build speed over time. The key is now not to focus on going viral or getting viral. I don't worry about going viral. I mean, I do have some strategies that I implement to increase the engagement of the content. Like I'm thinking strategically, which again, I'm going to talk about my thought process, but I want to look at like, what are my views over a month, over a broader time span? What are my views this month versus last month? And you can get those metrics on Instagram if you have a professional account. And when you're consistent with content, and now I want to also clarify, like there's posts you make to sell stuff or share what you do, and then there's content that is designed to attract and build value and create connection. Those are two separate things. And just posting a video of you pulling the stencil away and showing the tattoo, that is sort of saying like, this is what I make, this is what I sell. You can do it in artistic, creative ways that build more curiosity and have that like ASMR sound. You know, you can kind of get into the feel of it. But ultimately, if you're just posting a tattoo over and over and over again, it's not really content. It's really like, this is what I do. If you want to buy it, you know, let me know. So creating content, and we're going to talk about what you should make, but you want to be doing that on a regular basis. I would say start with once a week, sharing your face and talking to people. Start once a week and be consistent with that, and then build up to twice a week. But first start with consistency, because then you can say, all right, maybe this individual post and this post didn't do that great, but over the course of a month, you know what? I had 10,000 people see my content, see my work. 10,000 people in 1 month. That's a lot of fucking people. And for some people, it might only be 500 people. 500 people in a month is a lot of people. Think about if you were working at a shop, how many people, and you didn't have social media, you were working at a shop, how many people needed to walk into your shop to engage with you, to see your work in the course of 1 month? 500 people would be a fuck ton of people over the course of 1 month. So shifting your perspective to realizing that, okay, I'm not going to worry if this post only gets, 10 likes and 100 views. 100 people, 100 views, that's a lot of different people. And now span that out over a broader period of time. Stop focusing so much on the individual piece, because at the end of the day, 90% of the content that I make, that I post, is not a high-performing piece of content. In fact, I'll just say 99% of the content I post is not high-performing in terms of the standards of what high-performing is. So stop worrying about, oh, my content isn't getting as much reach, and start thinking more in terms of how consistent can I be with the content that I'm making. Because when you make engaging content that, again, shares yourself, your person, there's a lot of science behind why seeing someone's face our brains are actually designed to pay more attention to faces than they are to other types of images for a lot of evolutionary reasons. When we do that, then the posts that you do share that are about your tattoos will perform better when you're more regularly creating actual engaging content. And that's one of the reasons that we want to share your face. So yeah, your content isn't reaching as many people as it used to. That is the case across the board. The solution to that is to build consistency. And the only way to build consistency is to start small. Like I said, share one piece of content per week and be consistent with that for 2 months, and then work your way up to 2, and you'll start to learn what type of content, one that you like making, one that people like watching. But if you don't do it over and over again, then you won't learn that. And so that brings us to the next question, which is, I'm afraid to show my face on social media. I totally get that. Like, we have this fear. We don't want to look dumb. It's like probably one of humans' biggest fears is looking dumb in front of other people. That's why talking on stage is so terrifying. Posting something on social media, and I've coached hundreds of tattooers on this, and this is what they tell me. And I give them exact templates and scripts, and I say, here, fill in the blanks, make this content, edit it like this, do it this way. I give them the exact reference for exactly what type of content they should be making, and it still is hard. But what they tell me is, after they get past the 4th one, the level of difficulty of showing their face drops down by about 90%. It's the first 4. It's not 5. It's the first 4. The 5th one, I don't know why they tell me like that one's not hard. So when you're thinking about, oh man, I got to make that first post and like make an introduction post, introduce yourself to your followers, I like to focus on the metrics. I like to take the emotion out of it. I like to take the opinion out of it, because my brain will tell me, oh, this post isn't going to do good. Someone's going to leave a comment. Oh, someone I know they're going to see me trying and I'm looking stupid, and they're going to secretly talk about me or whatever. And it's like, God damn it. Like, get all that fucking shit out and just do the thing. Do what is required to grow your business. That's what I always tell people. Like, I don't hope something's going to do well. I don't try to do my best. I don't try at all. I do what is required. That's it. That's my mental attitude when it comes to my business. And so if learning to develop a skill called social media, called content, is part of what is required to grow a business in 2024, then I will do what is required. Boom. Bottom line. No emotion, no second guessing, no doubting myself. That's how I am about it. I'm very laser. So you're afraid to show your face? Great. Make the first 4 posts and see how afraid are you to show your face after that 4th post. That's what I want you to do. And that's literally the only way to do it. Now, you can get into some deeper inner child trauma of why you're afraid to be seen, because if you were seen, then you might get in trouble, or someone might make fun of you, or whatever it was that, all that stuff that we deal with as adults, it all comes from unprocessed childhood trauma, 99% of it. So yeah, you might want to do some of that work as well. I'm not talking about that today. That's another episode, but I do recommend you kind of look and explore that on your own. And so now we know that we have to be consistent, and we know that the only way to get over my fear of showing my face is to show my face. God forbid you have to show your face and actually talk to people to get clients. Now we want to, what kind of content do we make? And so in the video on YouTube that I made, the 4 pillars of Instagram, I talk about these 5 questions that your followers are subconsciously asking themselves. And I want to dive a little bit deeper into these 5 questions than I did on that video to help you create content that is aligned with these questions. So I'll put a link to the video down below. But the first question is, can I relate to this person? So again, if you're only posting pictures of tattoos, if they only see that Cherry Creek flash rack, it is impossible for someone to answer the subconscious question. Remember, they're not consciously thinking this. It's a subconscious thing. Can I relate to this person? Are they relatable? If they're not relatable, I don't really want to hang out and watch much more of their content if I can't relate to what they're saying or why they're saying it or the perspective that they're sharing. So this really comes down to like your vibe, your energy, your interests, your beliefs, your perspectives on anything. literally anything. Share a thought that you had walking down the block. You were thinking about, I don't know, why leaves fall off trees or something like that. Like, just get out there. When you start making more content, you start getting more ideas for content. You know how you'll be walking down the block and you will see some like gargoyle or statue and you'll be like, oh, that would be a sick tattoo if I like did it like this. Like, you're constantly seeing references for tattoos. When you start making content, you start constantly creating ideas and references for content. You start looking at content differently, because rather than consuming content, you're studying content and you're understanding, okay, the reason this did well is I really like the hook that person said. I'm going to get right back to this episode, but I just wanted to take a moment to speak to anyone that's feeling a little stuck right now in their tattoo business. Maybe you've noticed things have been slowing down a bit. Maybe things are pretty dead out there. I've talked to hundreds of tattooers who are experiencing that right now. A lot of changes have happened in the tattoo industry, and we either adapt with those changes, we learn how to grow in a saturated market, or we get left behind. And for anyone that is interested in actually having a marketing strategy conversation one-on-one with me, there is a link in the show notes with more details on how to schedule a call so that we can get you clear on what your next action is in helping you book more appointments consistently. So whether that is me giving you an assignment to do on your own, or we want to talk about what it looks like to continue to work together, either way, you're going to get the clarity that you need to take the next action in your business. So check that out. I do charge a small amount for these appointments, but like I said, even if it helps you book just one appointment, it will be worth your time, energy, and money. And I look forward to getting to chat with you. So check that link out in the show notes, and let's get back to this episode. One of my favorite hooks that I learned from another content creator recently was, this might sting a bit, but, and then say some, kind of controversial or, something that, a truth that someone wants to hear or doesn't want to hear, but needs to hear. That kind of stuff, you start to see a client asked me recently, what the hook should be. He did a piece that he was really proud of. And he was like, what should the hook be for this? I want to share this post. And again, if you share yourself and then share the tattoo, that at least brings you a little bit into it so people can get that vibe check. And I told him to say something like, I thought I did this tattoo perfectly, but I fucked up one thing. And then show the tattoo and then be like, nah, it's pretty perfect. Like, just like be funny about it, say something, because people are going to be like, what's that one thing you fucked up? They're going to be looking at it to try to see. And it was a really awesome, really beautiful tattoo. And, that kind of thinking about what are the things that are going to build that curiosity. And so when you're making content and you're in the game, in the process of creating regularly, you start to think about what those things are. And just you showing up, being your authentic self is going to create that relatability. But you won't get, people are like, well, how do I be relatable? Just show up. Just show up regularly. You will start to come out of your shell. You will start to be authentic and relatable. And this actually brings me to another thing that I always tell people is, and I actually heard this from Chris Do, who is another great content creator, brand strategist, brilliant content creator, and just marketing genius. And he said that when you first start making content, you have consumed so much content that your idea of what you're supposed to do and say and sound like comes from all that stuff. And that's not authentically you. But you almost can't help but make content from what you've seen. And so it ends up, it's going to be inauthentic. So in order to make authentic, relatable content, you kind of need to first make unrelatable, inauthentic content to just get out there. It's like a sketch. If I'm doing a drawing here, hold on. I was playing around. I don't know if you can see this on here, but a sketch of a seraphim wing, but with like Buddha eyes. I was working on the other day, just doodling. I don't even love that thing. I'll turn it into something else better later. But if I didn't draw the thing that I don't like, then I won't ever draw the thing that I do like. I used to say that to myself all the time when I was tattooing. I'm the kind of artist where like I need to redraw some shit like 5 fucking times. I'm so jealous of those tattooers that just like bang it out once and they're like, it's perfect. Even like a freehanding piece is like always really stressful for me because I had to like really go over it and really take my time. But the only way I ever got to the point where I could freehand tattoos was first going through the stages of sketching and resketching and making stuff I don't like. So you have to allow yourself to make that. And look, you don't have to hit post, but I recommend that you do, because then you can get over that fear. Just tell yourself, I'm going to do better on the next one. I'm going to do better on the next one, right? You can't erase a tattoo, and you always do stuff in tattoos that you wish you had not done or could have done differently. Just hit post, allow it to live out in the world, and that will motivate you to even do better next time. The next question is, can I trust this person? Are they knowledgeable? Are they experienced? Are they confident? Are they professional? There's so many opportunities within your shop, around your station, to talk about the tools, the equipment, the health factors, what you're thinking about, why stencils move when you twist your arm, or how to position someone, or there's just so many things that you can talk about that you can make content on that would educate your audience. And again, you think that, who cares about what my thought process is when I'm drawing a wing, like I don't even know. You might not even, but talk about it, think about it, share it. It's going to be fascinating, interesting to someone. And just the fact that you're on social media talking about it already positions you as somewhat of a level of expertise more than other people who aren't on social media talking about that thing. Does that make sense? Like, just the fact that you're on social media talking about the trade, the skill, the craft of tattooing, sharing information with your clients. That's another thing. Tattooers are so afraid to share information. It's already out there. It's all on fucking YouTube. There's no gatekeeping. It's all out there. Stop fucking worrying about that, and use it as a way to market yourself. If you look at like a jeweler's page, they will talk about how they set a stone. I also went to school for jewelry. That's what I'm talking about. That, how they create the bezel around the stone, or how they cut underneath the ring to allow more light in. Like, they'll share that information about their craft with their audience because it creates this level of professionalism that then people trust and are interested in. They're sharing the process. And so all of that kind of stuff, that's the type of content that you can create to build more trust. The next question, again, these are all subconscious. They're not consciously or subconsciously asking, is, does this person make me feel good? So they might be able to relate to you, but like, I don't know, they might relate to what you're saying, but there's some way that you're saying it. And so I, maybe like, I don't know, a couple months ago, signed up to work with a social media coach myself. I have a coach. I coach people on social media. I have a coach. I'm working with this company, Hook Point, which they are, one of the leading companies that have really done the work when it comes to studying what makes content go viral. That's their whole focus, is virality. And I know I said I don't really focus on going viral. I play both sides of the field, honestly. I'm like, let's just be consistent and let's like keep creating from that authentic place and not worry about virality. But then at the same time, I want to understand, why do certain pieces of content go viral and others don't? And what are those key performance drivers? And that's what I talk a lot about with my Hook Point coaches, or what are those key performance drivers? And so, does this person make me feel good? The way that you talk, the tone of voice. In fact, I put a couple notes down here, and like the pace at which you're talking, the tone that you're using. I realized that my tone can kind of come off. I had to do this big study with Hook Point before they even would agree to work with me. They're like, you got to take this test, and we'll identify your speaking tone, your listening tone. It's your like kind of your communication personality. I'm a very promoter. I like promote what I'm doing. And that's great, except that it's not always relatable for people. It's not, the tone of it isn't always like landing like nice and warm and fuzzy with people. And I understood that, and I get that. And like, that's not who I am all the time, but like a lot of the time my communication style falls into that. And so listening to your own communication style, are people left feeling good. And, a lot of the time people tell me all the time, like, oh, I like your content because it's authentic, because it's this. Yeah, most of the time it is. Sometimes, I lose my whatever magic mojo, but I'm making it consistently. And I have things that flop all the time. Like I said, most of my posts don't do great performance-wise, but thinking about the tone and how you're coming off and looking at your own content. Now, I'll replay the videos that I record. I'll look back on them and I'll say, could I slow down a little bit more? Could I pause and kind of bring it down? And I try to think of, like, how would an older brother talk to their younger brother to give advice? That's just like a frame of reference that I use. And so you might want to think of like a frame of reference, that a tone, a way that you want to come across that works really well for your content. So just something to think about in terms of making people feel good. And also funny content, like just be funny. I try to be funny and entertaining as much as possible. And people are like, oh, well, that's not professional. It's like, humor is a level of intelligence, in my opinion. So having that come across and doing it authentically, not just doing it because it's like crass, silly humor, but actually using your intelligence in your humor, I think is a great way to go with content and makes people feel good. The fourth question is, what will my friends think? And so this is big. I mean, when people get tattooed, yeah, they get it for them, but we are social creatures. We're always thinking about, what will my friends think if I share this piece of content? If I get this tattoo, is following this page, is this page going to have content that maybe I want to share? And so creating content that you're thinking about, is this information? Is this funny? Is this entertaining in a way that clients would want to share? There was a good one that a client of mine did based off a piece of content that I made, which was like basically making a post, and anyone can do this. It's a great content idea right here. You'll get a lot more engagement on it. Is basically saying, like, design your next tattoo using the predictive text below. And so, say like, my next tattoo is going to be, and then use predictive text to fill in the blank. And then you get all these people doing it, and they're sharing it with their friends, and they're getting more engagement and stuff like that. And then I think she actually DM'd a couple people that were leaving comments and actually ended up doing some of the tattoos that were created through predictive text. You got to have fun with it. You got to get creative. You got to think outside of the box of the Cherry Creek flash rack of tattoos that I post on my page. Do you like my tattoos, and do you want to get tattooed? Like, that is just such a linear box that people are thinking inside of. And you want to stretch and get outside of that. And the only way to do that is to do it, right? The only way to learn to draw is to sketch. And the only way to build a style is to repeat it over and over again. And the only way to create content that is getting seen and is building connection and relationships so that you can then tattoo those people is to just do it. And the last question, is this unique? So again, everyone's just posting the same shit, and I know that you are a special, unique flower, and that your artwork is so unique, and it's so, no one in the world makes the art that you make. And I know that I'm sounding sarcastic right now, and the reason is because, one, you're right, like you're right, but there's so many good tattooers out there. I mean, you're not competing. Everyone's like worried about new tattooers or scratchers coming into tattooing. Like, you're not competing with those people. Like, you're competing with an ocean of top tier tattoo artists. Like, it's insane the level of quality of tattooing that is normal now. What is like a basic tattoo now, 10 years ago was like the top tier. The bar keeps being raised. And so people are like, oh, I'm not getting the same engagement. It's like, well, like, is your content and are your tattoos unique? Are they offering something that you can't find somewhere else? Because if your page is just too similar to every other tattoo artist page out there, it doesn't give people a reason. Why are they going to follow you? They already follow 5, 10, 20 other tattooers that post basically the same kind of stuff. It's not that much different. And so you're not really giving them a reason to follow your page. And so I know that some people might take this personally. I don't mean this personally. I'm saying this because I want you to seriously consider these 5 questions when you're making content so that you are not stuck in the trap of, oh, my content's not reaching people and I'm not getting tattoos. So all of this, the whole point of making content through this framework is so that you can create conversations, DM people, say hi. It's social media. So you want to be creating those relationships with your followers. A few more things that I wanted to touch on before I go. One, there's two tattooers out there that I think a lot of tattooers know about, but if you don't know about them, who are top tier tattooers making very unique work, like they definitely found their style of work, that they've also found their style of content. And I don't want you to follow them and just completely copy exactly what they're doing, but I want you to go through their content and I want you to switch over to the Reels tab, scroll down their page, look at the things that are performing really, really well, that are getting the most views, and just start to study it and say, why is this getting so many views? So the first is wild.isley.tattoo. It's Pamela. I actually had her on the podcast talking about making content. She has definitely found a style, both in tattooing and in content, that is unique to her. It's giving her clients a piece of who she is. She actually recently posted something pretty personal and pretty, I don't know if the word is controversial, but it was just like, it was authentic. And that's the thing, is anything authentic will ultimately be polarizing. And she wasn't afraid to do that. And I just think her content, her tattoos, she's phenomenal, someone you should look up to and learn from. And then Jon Nelson, he's got a podcast, Jon Nelson _tattoo. Check out his podcast, but really look through his content and see what is performing really well and how can you kind of use that as a reference for making great content, right? If you want to make a great rose tattoo, you want a great reference, and the better your reference, the better your tattoo. And the same thing goes for content, finding those references that you can use. In the Artful Marketer program, I give people a library of references. I make references. I'm really handing people the best references that I can find, but you can do this on your own. You can just go on social media and find stuff to learn from. And there's really 5 pieces to every piece of content that you make. And you can dive a little bit deeper into this, but I break it all down into hook, pace, tone, how natural or authentic is it, and what is the copywriting. So those are the 5 areas I look at. Of course, the hook, the first 3 seconds, it's like, is this building tension? Is this building curiosity? Is this stopping the scroll? That's the question you want to ask yourself in the first 3 seconds of the post. What's happening? What's being said? And now hooks can be audible. It can be something you're saying. It can also be a visual hook. I did a piece of content the other day talking about getting a tooth removed, which still kind of hurts a little bit. But I used the tooth as a visual hook. That content didn't actually perform as well as I'd like it to. I looked at it. I try to understand, okay, what could I have done better? I definitely, I'm always doing that critique of the content that I make, just like you're critiquing your tattoos. But it can be a visual hook. It can be an audible hook. There's a lot of ways to pull in that information. And then the pace at which you're talking. Are you talking too slowly? Are you talking too quickly? Is there a slight buildup in the level of what you're talking about and then pulling back? Does it feel natural? Just thinking about the pace overall is something to consider. Like I talked about before, your tone of voice. Is it something that someone wants to listen to? Is it building trust? Is it confident? Am I not sounding confident? Because that will be something that you want to work on, again, through practice over time. How natural and authentic does it sound? So this is a hard one, because you're like, the minute the camera comes up, you're like, hi, content, I'm making the content, hi. And it just doesn't sound natural. Again, it comes from practice. So much, I wish I had, everyone wants the secret hack, the secret to being successful on social media. It's practice. It's practice. That's the secret pill, the secret hack. I'm sorry, I wish I had something better, but skillful practice is obviously the quickest way to get there. And so this is what I'm trying to give you today of what can you work on. And the last is copywriting, understanding the structure of why you would put this here and how does this lead someone into the next part? How does this draw them in more, leading them to the final part of it where they're getting that reward or point coming across, or shift in perspective, or value education, punchline. structuring it and thinking about, and I write out a lot of scripts and then I try to like feel more natural with it and go off script. But I mean, it can take hours sometimes to make one post and it doesn't do well. And I can't tell you, I mean, I've done that 100 fucking times more. And that's what it takes to make a couple pieces that do end up going viral, a couple pieces that resonate, or even just having nothing go viral. And over the course of 1 month, you make enough content that resonates deeply and connects with the right people over a long period of time consistently. That's what it takes to use social media to show up and to get clients. So I hope this was helpful. I'm trying to share as much of my perspective, my thought process, my mindset, and that I use when I go into creating content and that I teach my clients. And obviously, if anyone wants some help, I do offer one-on-one marketing strategy calls. Feel free to book that. And I hope to chat with you soon. Take care. All right, if you found this episode helpful, one of the best ways for you to help other artists is to share this episode. Leave a review and subscribe. It helps other people find my channel, and you never know what a difference it might make for someone else. Plus, I will forever be grateful for your support, so I just want to say thank you and have a great rest of your day.